Hello everybody, Camelia here. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to a new pattern review. And I hope you are well. I hope you did miss my videos and my reviews. I do have quite a few things to show you, but I think I'm going to make a general video with the things that I made in the last few days. I also have the last sew over it pattern that I want to make a little review over it, and I have also some other designer stitch things that I made, so a lot to talk about. But in this video I only want to talk about the new Beth dress, the new sewing pattern from Designer Stitch. It's the beautiful Beth dress, and it's a dress inspired from the Yellowstone series, where Beth is wearing all kind of really fun and really beautiful dresses, and Beth was also the inspiration for this dress. So if you did not see, look it up, Yellowstone. So I want to talk about the Beth dress, and I was thinking to talk a little bit about how to choose your size, and this is actually a general thing for designer stitch patterns, and I want to share with you my pattern, my fitting adjustments, and to show you a little bit, to give you some tips for other kind of adjustments that you could make if it's necessary for your dress. And I also want to talk about shirring. As you can see, the pattern has shirring on the sleeves, and I don't know, to give you some tips and tricks to get the best Beth dress. So as you might know, I'm a really big fan of the designer stitch patterns, and it did happen one time to get a nasty comment that why I'm not disclosing that I am the designer behind the designer stitch patterns. I am not. I just love the designer stitch patterns and is the designer behind all these beautiful patterns. So just because I love the patterns so much, I consider myself a brand ambassador, and I always like to talk about the designer stitch patterns. So let's start with Beth dress. At the end of the video I'm going to make a segment with the to show you the adjustments. I have here some extra pattern pieces that I'm going to use to show the pattern adjustments. So the Beth dress, I'm going to try to put here some the technical drawing also, a little bit bigger that you can see it. It's a really gorgeous dress, and I think I'm going to keep it with the big one here. So Beth dress is made for wovens, and because you have the really soft skirt, you want to have something soft, so it's made for wovens. It has here at the waist, it has a shaped yoke. You have the upper bodice, which is getting gathered at the center front, and the bodice here has also bust darts, and you have some little bust darts here down. The back is it has waist darts. There is no waist piece on the back, but you have a center back invisible zipper, and the sleeves are in 3 lengths: the short one, the elbow one like you see in the pictures, and a longer one. And the longer one also with the sheared cuff, you can see it in the on the designer stitch blog. There are coming always some presentation posts from with all the testers, and you can definitely see it there. Or, you know, if you are in the designer stitch group Facebook group, you can find it also there. I only made the short one and the elbow length one. Also the neckline is getting finished with a facing, and so the front and the back, and you have in the front a nice slit that you can adjust it to your liking, longer or shorter. Choosing your size in the Beth dress. I think this is the most important in this dress, and I'm wearing here, this was the first one, actually it's really the first draft of this dress that Anne made, and for me it was the biggest adjustment that I had to make, because I'm in the designer stitch patterns a little bit between cups, so I'm a small C, a big B, small c, how you want to call it, between B and the C. I really need the length of the C cup, but I am good with the width of the B cup. So this is how I know that my fit is in the dress. But I did make here a straight 3B. And to choose your size for this dress, actually to choose your size in all the designer stitch patterns where they are cup sizing, the thing that is really important for you is this page. And in these instructions, if I'm not mistaken, is page number 6. And actually the most important thing that you need to read is this one, here down. You have to measure your upper bust and your full bust, making a difference between the upper bust and the full bust. You find your cup sizing, and here is getting explained very well how to choose that. And then on the lower part of the page is saying the pattern size selection. So after you have the cup, to determine what size to make, especially for the upper part, for the bust, you have to use your upper bust for the bust. So you'll change. So let's say that I don't have here centimeter. Let's say that I am 93 at the upper bust. I am going to choose based on the size chart. So I'm a 93. I am going to choose, I think I'm 91 or something like that. I'm not going to choose size 4 like is saying here, but I'm going to go, like I will go with the full bust, but I'm going to check for the bust. I'm going to use the measurement for the upper bust. That's really important. For the rest, also important, if you are between sizes, so let's say that your upper bust is 93 and size 3 of the designer stitch patterns is 90 and the next size is 95, don't go to size 4, just trace between the sizes. Very important. And for the rest, the same is also for the waist and the hips. Don't go just higher or lower, just trace between sizes. You'll get a really nice fit. Also, another advice that I can tell you is, or I can give you a tip, always make a toile, a fitting garment. And also in this dress there are a few points that you really need to have the fitting garment to be sure that you are going to have in some key points the perfect fit. And in this dress, in the Beth dress, you have, I'm going to grab here the bodice part. This is the bodice part, and here is coming that yoke. Well, in this dress it's very important to have the underbust seam here, to have it exactly under your bust, so against the, let's say, the wire of your bra. So that's very important. And in my case, as I said, I made a 3B first. This was not the case. My seam was really on my bust, so it had to go a little bit lower. Oops. So that was an adjustment that I had to make. Some other parts where you need to, you can check the fit with a fitting toile. It will be, of course, the shoulders, if they are not too wide and they are falling from your shoulders. You can check the fit here at the back, so that the back is sitting nice against your body. You can also check the fit on the waist, of course. And don't forget that it's really, if you have a fitting garment, you get when you get, of course, you have an invisible zipper in your back, so it's really nice to get at this stage the right fit, so later when you are going to your final garment, you'll not have to rip the zipper out to bring the center back at the neck a little bit, and all these kind of changes that are a little bit, you know, it's a pity to use a nice viscose and then to rip it off and to get all kind of problems with your fabric. So the underbust seam, the waistline, of course, the hips, there is quite a bit of ease in the hips, so that's not really critical. But the shoulders, they are also important. And if you feel that you need a little bit of support here in the shoulders, you can also add some bra straps holders, both ones, or you can make some to sew them on the dress, so they will keep also the dress nicely on your shoulder. That depends really on the slope of your shoulder, how the dress is going to fit. But I'm going to get into those also when I'm going to show you the changes or some fitting tips and fitting pattern adjustment tips. what I did change in my dress also, and this is also personal preference, I should say, I did change the zipper from the center back. I changed it here on the side seam just because I really hated to try to zip up my dresses from behind. So I like it to have it here in the side seam, and that's really easy. But this is also an adjustment that you need to, for this you need to be sure of the fit of the dress, because if you want to make it later, let's say that the dress is too wide, you have to rip off the zipper to bring the seams in. So to put the zipper in the side, I just sewn up the center back. And let's see, you have in your pattern, if you're buying the pattern, the back skirt is with a seam, so you could put that one, also take the seam allowance away at the center back of the skirt and just put that on the fold. For the bodice, I will keep that center back seam, because you can really shape the back really nicely if you have a seam and the garment is not on the fold. Other than that, so those are really critical points that you need to change at the fitting stage, at your fitting garment stage, and then, you know, it's really easy. Something to keep in mind when you are cutting your pieces and then you are sewing them, the skirt part is made in two parts, so, or the front, so you have the smaller one, which is the left side, and the bigger one of the skirt, part of the front skirt, is the right side. It's important to, I think there are also notches. I have here again the draft, the first one, but you have notches. Need to be careful that you really sew the left and the right correctly, and when you are cutting your pattern, be careful to place your pieces right side up, for the skirt I mean, so the right side of the pattern facing you, and using the right side of the fabric, so right side of the fabric up, pattern with the face up, and then you really have the right and the left as they should be. And also, if you are sewing, if you are making the skirt with a seam in the back, be careful to sew the center back to center back, and that you are not shifting, because then the skirt is going to hang really strange. Sewing the dress, so let's say that you made already your fitting adjustments, you decided based on your toile what size you want to have, and then you adjusted your pattern, of course. Fabric wise, I used, actually in all three I use viscose. This is this one also, actually the gorgeous viscose from challis from Minerva, from their exclusive range, which is really kind of the perfect fabric for this dress, because it's really soft and drapey and it's just beautiful, and also very soft against the skin. This one I think is, I don't know where this fabric is from, I cannot remember. I think it's from a market guy from the Netherlands, or it's from Thyssen. It's from one of those two. But I think this dress could be, of course, sewn in a lot of fabrics, and I have here some quite similar design, color speaking, but different as weight and type of fabric. This is a satin, and I think this would be also, it's also very soft and nice, and it will look really, really nice for the bed. I have here another one, and this one also is from Minerva. This one is from their exclusive linen viscose blend, which is also very soft and really beautiful. This would be also really beautiful for this dress as an option. I have here another one, and this one is jacquard rayon fabric. Is also everything what is soft and drapey, I think would be really perfect. And I have here one, I think this would be also nice. This is a cotton, it's a poplin, I think. It's not very drapey, but I think it would be really cute with this pattern. I mean, the dress is not very wide, but you'll get a much more stiffer skirt with making it with a cotton. Again, I used as a zipper, I used invisible zippers, and in all three dresses they are shifts to the side seam instead of the center back. For the sleeves, As I said, the sleeves are sheared here, the lower part, and I think you can really go as if you are at how many rows, you can go as much as you want or less. I mean, if you want only 2 rows of shirring, you could do only 2 rows of shirring. I did on this one, I think 7, and on the other one the same. That one is with the longer sleeves. I'm going to put the pictures here. But on this one, because I was not sure what kind of sleeve length to make on it, I wanted something a little bit different. I did sew the so for this one I used the elastic thread, you know, the usual shirring thread that that you can find, and I made first the little hem on the sleeve, then I sheared the sleeve open, and then later I just sewed the underarm seam and put it in my dress. I think that's the best way. For this one I've sewn the sleeve in the round because I was thinking, you know, maybe I'm going to put only some wide elastic in it and make like a deeper hem, or I was thinking maybe just a hem and let the sleeve draping, but then later I decided, well, it's going to look nicer if I'm putting some shirring in it. But because it was already sewn, I was thinking, you know, I'm going to try something else. And I think you can see here, I'm going to come a little bit closer, I used this shirring elastic, this thing, and I have a tutorial here on the channel. I'm going to put a link in the video description. This is 5 cent, no, this is 4. This is 4 centimeter wide, and to shear this you only need to stitch between these rows of elastic, and I chose to stitch the lower one and then every other row just with a straight stitch. But because my sleeve, it was already in the round and I don't want to rip it off, I hate doing that, I just stitched, I measured the elastic, how much I wanted to have, I stitched it together, and then I marked it. I don't think I quartered it, I marked only the middle of it, and then did the same for the sleeve, and then stretching and sewing. It is a little bit more work, I think. It's not so handy in put it in the round, but it's really possible. I mean, it's not very difficult, very difficult. It's just not so handy. And I know that sometimes I find those little wires wires, you know, that plastic stuff that is in this elastic, I find it a little bit itchy, and especially where it's cut, you know, where the seam is. So to be sure that I will have no problems, as you can see here, I added a piece of a bias cut strip because it's not going to unravel, and I stitch it there, and now it's really soft and this is not bothering me. But when it's cut, you have the chance that those nylon threads are going to be itchy, so this is a good solution to it. And as you can see, this is from the outside and it's looking exactly as a sheared piece of fabric like you do with the shirring thread. And I think this is a great solution, for example, if your machine is not liking shirring elastic like this one. I know there are people in the group that they could not shear their fabric because the machine was just not doing it. With my machine, and I have also a sewing tutorial here on the channel. Again, you'll find a link in the description of this video where I'm showing you shearing with an mechanical, so an older machine, and with an electronic one. So it's possible, but not all machines are going to do it. So if you really want to have your sheared sleeves on the Beth dress, you can use this stuff. There are, I did see it online on all kind of widths that you can buy, so it's really easy to work with. Let me think. Oh, something else, another tip that I can give you. As I said, the neckline is finished with facings, and I think the best is when you are working with this kind of soft fabrics that they can stretch a little bit while working with them. The best idea, you need to interface your facings. Best is to interface a little bit a bigger piece of fabric, and then to interface that, and then to cut your facings from that interfaced piece. That's called blocked interfacing, and that's always going to give you the best results. You don't have any chance of interfacing your facing, you know, that is already stretched and you interfaced something that is already out of shape, or that you get shrinkage. So the best idea is to interface the fabric first and then to cut your facings. Yeah, and that's it. Further, in the sleeves, of course, you have also some gathers here. Just a little bit, not too much, to make the sleeves really puffy, but it's a really sweet detail, so also very nice. And I used my sewing machine to sew the dresses and my serger to finish the seams. And for the rest, it's actually, I was thinking first to make a sewing tutorial for it, sew along, but then I was thinking, you know, it's such an easy pattern. Actually, the most difficult part in this is actually to get the right fit, or most difficult, the difficult part in this one is to get the fit here under the bust and on the seam, on the side seams and the center back. I also had to take a little bit the back at the center to shape it really nicely against my body, so that would be actually the only tricky part of this. I have here also two books that I wanted to show you what that I find really helpful with fitting. Of course, I know already my fitting adjustments, but I think this is a really nice book that you can have with all kind of fitting problems. I mean, not everyone is going to have all these fitting problems, but it's not likely to have a long back and a short back at the same time. And this is actually from the same, also from Palmer Fletch, but I think here you have just a few more. This one is a newer edition with a little bit more information than the older one. Really nice, very interesting and very helpful books. So this was it. I'm going to change the cam and I'm going to show you, to give you my tips for some fitting adjustments for your best bet. I hope you enjoyed my video, and if so, please don't forget to give me thumbs up and put your opinions here in the comments. I always love to read your comments, and I hope you like my dresses. And as I said, it's a beautiful dress for the summer, for the spring, with a little cardigan on. It's going to be for the rest of the year to be worn. I love it. I just love this neckline. Really gorgeous. So I hope you enjoyed my video. Don't forget, stay tuned, stay here for the next segment with the fitting adjustments for Beth dress. Thank you for watching, everybody. Bye. So I really wanted to give you some tips on pattern adjustments that you could make for your Beth dress. Maybe you'll find that you have some similar things, fitting adjustments that you need to make, like the same that I had to make. So I have some standard fitting things, adjustments that I'm making with designer stitch patterns, and those are raising the point of the bust dart. As you can see, the original, or you cannot see, it was somewhere here, and then I always need to go around 1 centimeter up. I always need to shorten the shoulder length for narrow shoulders, and on the back, I'll show you in a moment, I always need to make a sway back adjustment. But even with all those adjustments, it's always good to make a fitting garment, or you know, to check the fit, because in every pattern there will be other kind of style lines that you have to check if the fit is still the same. So in this one, as the upper bodice part is something that needs to fit really beautifully around the bust, in my fitting version I've seen that the stitching line was coming, and here under you have a seam allowance of 1 centimeter. So this was coming, instead of coming under my bust, it was coming a little bit on the bust, so it had to come down. But As I said, I'm a little bit between the cup sizes, so I needed the length of cup C. So if you have the same like me, that your seam is not coming on the bust but is too high, what you can do in order to keep the proportions, I took 1 centimeter away from the yoke and I added it here on the bodice, and that's actually very easy. I just I'm going to, let's see, I have here one that it has already the seam allowance drawn in, because as I said, this was the draft. But to adjust for my length, I'm just, and I don't want to put my head in the cam, I'm just drawing the seam allowance of 1 centimeter. You get the idea, all the way around, 3/8, and then of course I have here a yoke. I'll have to take it away from here, because if I'm not taking that 1 centimeter away back from the yoke, what is happening, the whole thing is going to affect also where the waistline is coming, of course. So then I'm going to take the same amount from the yoke away. So this is what I did on my front here. To adjust the bust point, that's really easy. I'm always going straight up, and I usually use another ruler to be sure that I'm going straight up. I'm marking a point of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 1 centimeter higher. As you can see, here is my point, and in this case the seam allowance is drawn in, so I can, because I'm going to use the legs of the original bust dart to draw the new one. And as you can see, let's see here I don't have the seam allowance drawn. Put this away. So in your case you'll not have that, but what you need to do, you need to draw in first the seam allowance, especially here the legs of the dart. So this is 1.5, and here I have also 1.5 centimeter. And I will start from here and from here, and then draw the legs of the dart, and that will be something like this. And then is one step more that you need to do always when you do this. So I have here one leg. I'm going to start from this point, and I'm just going to go to the point of the dart. And something very, very important after you make this, you have to fold the dart like on the new legs, let's say, and you need to fold it in the same way that the dart is going to be pressed after it's sewn. So like this, you can see. And then you have to true your seam. And if I had here a cutting mat, of course I will just put the ruler and cut it, but I don't have it. And if you don't have it, you have to go, let's say, from the armhole down to this point, and you'll see that you add a little bit and you'll take a little bit away, because your dart is going to come on a different angle. So the bulk of the dart is so keeping this folded and folded downwards, like I'm going to fold my dart after sewing it. Just going to cut following this new green line. Just going to follow the line, and you'll see that the bulk of the dart did get a little bit changed. So that's a change that I am making. For the shoulders, usually you have to split the shoulder in half. You have to make just before the curve here perpendicular to the, where is the, my line is to, my ruler is not the best one. You have to make a line perpendicular to the grain line. This one also perpendicular downwards, and then you cut it, and then you shift it, and you put it back, and then you keep your, it's a standard narrow shoulder adjustment. But because I'm a little bit lazy and I know that my shoulder is change is not really big, I'm just taking 1 centimeter away from here. And I'm just doing that because I know that the ease in the sleeve is enough to fit this in. I know it's not really the official, you know, adjustment how to make this. And then I'm just blending it back here to the original seam. I'm trying to keep the curve intact, don't go too much there, and then I can take all this away. Of course, the same you have to make for the back. Here, the same change. In my case, 1 centimeter away. I'm using, this is size 3, this is size 4. 1 centimeter away, take it off, and then blend it with a ruler at least, preferably, and then take this away. So this is how I'm doing for the shoulders. It also can happen that you want to have a little bit more coverage here on the back, and actually it will be a little bit the same. Let's see. So let's say that I want to have 1 centimeter more. I'm just going to continue this. Let's see, here is my line. I hope you can see and you're not too far away. But let's say that I want to have 3/8 of an inch. So I'm just making a marking here. I think it's somewhere here. Again, I'm sitting a little bit not the best position here. And you try then to blend this back in the original neckline. Something like this. And after you are doing this, of course, you need to keep in mind that your shoulders should match. So let's say that you can bring this one also 3/8 of an inch, and that will be 1, 2, 3. That will be here. Let's say you bring it here, and then you have the possibility. Let's say you want to bring the whole thing a little bit more in, you can bring it here back and try to follow a little bit the original line. So this will bring the whole neckline a little bit more inside. Or if you think, well, I want only here my shoulder seam, so you'll just blend it back in the original seam, and you keep the neckline as open as the original, so without this. But now you have your shoulder is going to come a little bit more to the neck. So all kind of things that you can do. And let's say that you want to be sure that this is something that you like. You make up only this part, the bodice without the skirt, and then you can fit. Something very important, what I forgot to say in the beginning of the video: when you make your fitting toile for this, your fitting garment, always put the sleeves on, both of the sleeves. Even if you don't make the shirring on the sleeve, put the sleeves into the garment. Otherwise you'll be really unpleasantly surprised that if you put this without the sleeves on, you say, oh, the fit is great, and then when you put the sleeves on, it's going to pull everywhere, or the shoulders are going to fall, or I don't know. Fit your dress with the sleeves on. Very important. So these are some adjustments that you can make on in the front, and the same. You know, here at the front, you can always play with how much you want to gather this. I like to gather even more than the half of it, what is in the instructions. But this is something that you can play with. So this is for the front. Of course, let's say only one thing more. If you have, and I'm going to put the back for a moment away. We are going to come to the back in a moment. So let's say that you want to have a little bit, you have to blend for the waist. Let's say that you want to blend for the waist. I'm going to put my, let's see, I'm going to use, what I'm going to use, it doesn't matter. This is the one that I use, so I don't want to mess up and to throw it away when I'm done with this video. So let's say that this is a size 3 and a size 4, and let's say that you want to have here is of course the waist. Of here you have the skirt, of course. So let's say that at the waist you need to be a 4, but on the upper bodies you are a 3. So what you are going to do, you can use the, let's say like this, you can use the 4. This is the 4 size, this is 4 and this is 3, and that's very easy actually, because you really want to keep here upstairs, you want to keep size 3. You have to draw in your seam allowance. So this is the 1 centimeter, and you're just going to come, let's say something like this. The best of course is, so from a 3 up to a 4 here. So if you have only a half size, of course you blend only the half. Or maybe if you feel that from the bust down you get a little bit wider and you want to have the 4 size, then you have of course from here down you come to the next size. Very easy. So this is, we talked here about the front. Always keep in mind the seam allowance that you have in the pattern. Sometimes you need to make your changes based keeping the back of your head what is the seam allowance. As the same is with the back. And I have here my back, the back that I used for my dress, and you can see here the changes that I made. I took that 1 centimeter away for the narrow shoulder adjustment, and I did make quite a bit of a change here at the back to bring the dress really nicely on my back. And I have here the sway back adjustment, and this pattern has here a 1.5 seam allowance, centimeter seam allowance, and here is also 1.5 centimeter seam allowance. The waist is 1 centimeter. That's really not important in this case, but to make the sway back adjustment in this pattern, I'm going to, so let's see, I'm just going to draw in the seam allowance on this one, and that is 5/8 of an inch. Let's see, where is the pattern? Well, this is the pattern here. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and for me it's important somewhere here a little bit above the waist. So this is the seam allowance, the seam allowance, and this is the stitching line. And actually more important is on the side seam, I need to have the 5/8 or the 1.5 centimeter seam allowance marked. I'm just going to mark it. And then I'm just going to pick, let's say I am 3-4 centimeters from the waist up. You know, sometimes when you make your fitting toile, you see exactly where that bunching at the back, you know, that is a little bit baggy, and you can feel that is a little bit too much fabric here in the back. In my case, I'm taking, I think, 1.5 centimeters. So I'm just going to measure here at the stitching line 1.5 centimeters from this line that I just draw, that is perpendicular to the grain. So let's see that it is perpendicular. Let's see, this is the grain. Yes, it is. And I'm going to come from this point to this point here, and you actually make like a dart. So I'm coming from my mark of 1.5 here to this point. The next step is to cut this. To cut it, it doesn't really matter on which line. So I'm just going to cut on this one. It's really easy actually, but the effect of this is really amazing. And I'm cutting to the point, but not through it. And then I'm going to cut from this other side, also to the point, but keep just a smidge of paper in order to use it as a hinge point. Just grab my tape. I'm going to overlap this like so. Tape it down. There are of course a lot of methods to do this sway back adjustment, but in a pattern that it's really not so complicated, I'm just going to do it like this, or this is my preferred method actually. So this is my new back. As you can see, it did change a little bit, but what I want to do, there are two things. I am going to keep the grain line straight from the base. So if you are using, let's say, a particular print that is going to follow the skirt that is perpendicular to the base. So perpendicular to the base, this is my new gray line. And I also want to bring this dart, because now it's going a little bit to the side. I want to have it straight again. Again, I am going to measure the dart here at the base, and let's see, at the base the dart is on size 3 is 4.2, so the middle will be 2.1. I want, let's see, 4, oh no, it's 4.8 actually. Yes, so it's 2.4. This would be the middle of my dart. And I'm going to make a line perpendicular to the base and just straight up from this middle, from the center of the dart, all the way to the same point. And then I'm coming from the legs, from the original legs, I'm just going to go up again. Let's see, I need to have here 1 centimeter first, and just going to use those. Just moved a little bit, and now is nice and straight again. So this is important. Then as you can see, you get a little bit of scooping here, and that's something that you want to do. And later, as I said, based on the fitting garment that I made, I did take a little bit from here, and I just blended, you know, with a nice ruler back on the, well, not so curved, but you get the idea, back to the original line where I found that. As you can see, this is what I have now. Let's see if I can show you a little bit. As you can see, this is adjusted here, is smaller, and of course this should go a little bit higher. And I did have to take let's see, 1.5 centimeters, and as you can see, I've came all the way here down. So this was for the back, but this is the sway back adjustment is something really important to make in this pattern. Of course, for the rest, if you need to raise your armhole, just do that and blend it back, and then you have to change the sleeve also. And for the rest, as I said, I used a side zipper, invisible zipper in my side seam instead of the center back. I've just sewn the center back closed with 1.5 centimeter seam allowance, and then I inserted this zipper in the left side seam, and I just left like maybe 3 centimeters from up down, and then here I started with the zipper, and for the rest the same application like it will be in the center. I just want to say also that if you are making changes to the front and the back shoulder, so let's see, I'm going to take this one away. So if you are making changes to the shoulder line length here, you make it shorter, you make it longer, whatever, don't forget to make the same changes on your facing pieces. Very important. So if you, let's say in the back you had to adjust your back to take 1 centimeter to make it a little bit more fitted, don't forget to take the same amount away from the facing, otherwise your facing is going to be too big. The same on on the shoulders here. You took 1 centimeter away for your narrow shoulder adjustment. Don't forget to take it also from your facing away. Very, very important. Or if you add it here, don't forget to add also, because this one is going to follow the neckline of your front bodice. So a few changes. These are typical changes for me. If you have any other questions, please don't be shy, ask them here in the comments. I hope you got some help from this video. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Bye.